For decades, Yamaha pushed the limits of marine engineering, but nothing prepared rivals for the radical Crosswave, a machine with a 1.9-liter engine, a 4-seat walk-around deck, and a digital backbone, all revealed by the CEO in a single disruptive announcement. Is this the moment Mercury, Suzuki, and Honda lose their grip on marine power? Or is something lurking beneath all the hype? The answer starts at the engine's core. Kei Tanabe, Yamaha's chief engine architect, stands at the heart of the Crosswave's mechanical revolution. Under his leadership, engineers set out to build an engine that could deliver both brute strength and lasting reliability, a demand that grew louder as watercraft crept ever larger and more versatile. The result is the 1.9-liter high-output marine engine, a 4-cylinder block with 1,898 cubic centimeters of displacement, making it the largest power plant ever installed in a Yamaha personal watercraft. The design brief was ambitious: generate high torque for a vessel that could haul 4 adults, fishing gear, and enough fuel for long-range adventure, all while staying cool and efficient under constant load. Early prototypes revealed a problem. Conventional cooling systems could not keep up. Tanabe's team responded by engineering a new thermal loop, adding a secondary coolant circuit and a larger exchanger, channeling water directly from the cylinder head to the regulator and electronics. This not only tamed heat spikes, but also allowed the Crosswave's digital systems, dual monitors, advanced audio, and trolling motor support to draw power without risking engine shutdowns from thermal overload. Yamaha's engineers did not stop with cooling. The intake manifold was reconfigured for smoother airflow, and the oil fill and crankcase anode were relocated for easier access, reducing service time and potential for user error. The engine cover itself is molded from cellulose nanofiber reinforced resin, a plant-derived composite that is over 25% lighter than traditional plastics. This material innovation trims weight and shrinks the engine's carbon footprint, aligning with new emissions targets. Internal tests suggest the Crosswave's emissions are up to 12% lower than previous Yamaha models, and noise at cruise drops by about 6 decibels, a difference that matters on long days offshore. Mechanical credibility carries through every detail. The alternator, adapted from Yamaha's FX Ho marine line, is rated to deliver 55 to 70 amps at cruise, supporting the Crosswave's suite of electronics without straining the battery. The engine is mapped for quick throttle response, even when fully loaded, and its architecture borrows proven elements from Yamaha's most reliable marine blocks. Early endurance runs at the Fukuroy test tank exposed weak points in fuel delivery and cooling, but each issue was met with rapid engineering adjustments, software updates for smoother mode switching, and hardware tweaks to the intake and cooling circuits. Tanabe's team faced one persistent question: could this much power, paired with so many digital systems, strain the downstream components? The answer would come in later sea trials, but at the engine's core, Yamaha had built a mechanical platform that invites confidence. The Crosswave's 1.9-liter engine is not just a leap in size. It is a calculated gamble in power, efficiency, and future-proofing, setting a new technical standard for the industry. At nearly 13 feet from bow to stern, the Crosswave stands apart from anything Yamaha has built before. The hull stretches out wider than a typical personal watercraft, measuring 67 inches across the beam, a footprint that rivals compact runabouts and blurs the line between watercraft and boat. Ryoichi Watanabe, the chief architect behind the Crosswave's hull, faced a challenge that went beyond simple upscaling. Each inch of added length and width had to serve a purpose: stability for anglers shifting their weight, walk-around access for families loading coolers and gear, and a platform sturdy enough to support modular seating without flex or creak. The decision to go big was not made lightly. Watanabe's design team spent months in focus groups, listening to the frustrations of offshore fishermen and adventure riders who found traditional personal watercraft too cramped, too tippy, or too limited for real-world trips. The result is a walk-around deck that lets 4 adults move freely from bow to stern, with marine matting underfoot and rails that echo the safety features of small center consoles. The open layout isn't just about comfort. It transforms the Crosswave from a single-purpose thrill machine into a true multi-role platform. Whether casting lines, stretching out at anchor, or hauling a weekend's worth of camping gear, the expanded hull delivers a sense of space that no previous Yamaha could offer. This supersized form brings real-world utility into focus. Storage jumps to 311 liters, enough for anchor, rods, tackle, and a full-size cooler, all stowed in dedicated lockers. The 4-passenger seating, mounted on removable tracks, can be reconfigured or stripped out entirely for maximum deck space. Even with a full load, the hull's broad stance keeps the craft steady in chop and at rest, a quality that draws direct praise from early test riders. The Crosswave's dimensions allow it to handle open water with a calm, planted feel. At anchor, it resists the rolling and pitching that plague smaller hulls, making it possible to fish, picnic, or even set up a folding table without fear of tipping. Watanabe admits that pushing the hull to this scale came with trade-offs. Weight and structural integrity became constant concerns, especially as the team experimented with new resin blends and reinforcement patterns. The hull's expanded surface area required careful engineering to avoid flex under heavy loads or pounding surf. While Yamaha's internal tests show the Crosswave meets their strict durability benchmarks, the long-term effects of repeated offshore use remain an open question, one that will be watched closely by marine analysts and traditionalists alike. Still, the Crosswave's size is not just an engineering statement, it's a response to a changing market. Riders want a craft that can do more, go farther, and carry the people and equipment that turn a day on the water into a real adventure. In that sense, the Crosswave's hull is more than a shell. It's the foundation for a new kind of marine experience, one built on stability, flexibility, and the promise of open water without compromise. Saito, Yamaha's digital integration specialist, faced a puzzle that would have stumped most marine engineers. How do you turn a vessel this size into a true command center, not just a bigger watercraft? The answer starts at the helm. Instead of a single basic gauge cluster, the Crosswave features a dual display setup, side-by-side 7-inch touchscreens, each with a distinct purpose. The left screen runs Yamaha's Connex system, a familiar interface for drive modes, trip data, Bluetooth audio, and detailed engine diagnostics. The right is a Simrad NSX chart plotter and fish finder, given real-time mapping, sonar, and split-screen views. For the first time on a Yamaha craft, navigation and vessel control live together, sharing data across a digital backbone that ties every system together. Underneath the dash, a dedicated CAN bus network links the displays, engine, and accessory controls, letting the helm function more like a mini boat bridge than a traditional personal watercraft console. This digital backbone is not just about convenience. It is the nervous system that makes advanced features possible. The Simrad unit can pull speed, heading, and fuel data directly from the Connex electronic control unit, while the Yamaha display can show maintenance alerts triggered by the chart plotter GPS logs. Saito's team spent months refining the data handshake between these systems, working late hours to ensure that a course plotted on the Simrad would instantly sync with the Yamaha trip computer, and vice versa. Powering all this is a factory-wired Group 24 deep-cycle marine battery pre-installed beneath the stern deck. That is a major departure from the undersized starter batteries typical in personal watercraft. The Crosswave's wiring harness routes accessory feeds and main engine power through marine-grade circuit breakers, with a heavy-duty battery switch mounted in the starboard stern compartment. This switch, accessible without tools, lets users isolate the battery for service or storage, a feature borrowed from larger boats, now standard on a Yamaha personal watercraft. The alternator, adapted from Yamaha's FXHO marine line, is rated for 55 to 70 amps at cruise. That is enough to run both displays, the audio system, navigation lights, and moderate accessories like underdeck lighting or a live well pump, all without straining the battery. But Saito cautions that high-draw gear, like a trolling motor or powerful aftermarket audio, can quickly outpace the alternator's output, especially at idle or at anchor. The system is built for flexibility, but extended use of heavy accessories will still draw down the battery, a reality familiar to seasoned boaters. Every control surface and wiring run was engineered for accessibility. Distribution panels and bus bars are user-reachable, a break from the sealed, service-restricted designs of past personal watercraft. Saito's focus groups made it clear. Buyers wanted the freedom to add electronics and manage their own power setup, not be locked out by proprietary hardware. The result is a helm that feels more like a small sport boat, 2 screens, a battery switch, and a digital backbone ready for expansion. For Yamaha, this is more than a spec sheet upgrade. It is a statement that the Crosswave is not just about muscle. It is about smart, user-driven control, opening the door to new adventures and new limits. Pump clogging can bring any adventure to a sudden halt, especially in weed-choked shallows or after a long run through floating debris. Yamaha's engineers tackled this head-on by adapting a feature from their jet boats, a clean outboard accessible directly from the deck. For the first time on a personal watercraft, owners can clear the jet pump without crawling into the footwell or tipping the craft on a trailer. The port sits beneath a sealed hatch just aft of the main seating area. If the pump ingests seagrass or plastic, a twist and pull is all it takes to dislodge the blockage. No tools, no soaking wet arms, no risk of damaging the impeller. Early owner reports and demo rides confirm that the system works as promised, with no recurring leaks or seal failures reported in initial field use. This single feature has already won praise from anglers and families who frequent rivers and lakes where pump fouling is a regular threat. Maintenance, often a dreaded chore, becomes almost routine. The above-deck access means the Crosswave spends more time in the water and less on the ramp. For rental fleets and guides, it is a practical advantage. Downtime drops, and user error is less likely to result in costly repairs. Yamaha's decision to bring this technology to a personal watercraft reflects a growing recognition that reliability is not just about engine hours. It is about how quickly a rider can recover from the unexpected and get back underway. Material science plays its own quiet role in the Crosswave's day-to-day usability. The engine cover and select hull panels are molded from cellulose nanofiber reinforced resin, a plant-derived composite developed in partnership with Japanese material specialists. This resin is over 25% lighter than traditional marine plastics, shaving pounds off the craft's total weight. For a vessel already pushing the upper limits of the personal watercraft category in size, every pound counts. Lighter panels mean easier handling at the dock, improved trailer loading, and a slightly higher payload for gear or passengers. The cellulose nanofiber resin also resists ultraviolet degradation and saltwater chalking, promising a cleaner look after seasons of sun and spray. While multi-year durability data is still forthcoming, salt spray tests and early field use show no signs of the cracking or hazing that plagued older gel coat finishes. Deck-level service access and lighter, greener materials combine to make ownership less intimidating. The Crosswave's maintenance edge is not about headline-grabbing specs. It is about the quiet details that keep a day on the water from turning into a day in the shop. Owners now have a craft that is easier to care for, less prone to downtime, and built with materials that nod to a cleaner future. These choices do not just set the Crosswave apart from rivals, They redefine what practical innovation means in the marine world. April 2024, Lake Biwa. Yamaha's prototype. Crosswave, loaded with test weights and a full crew, cut across the water in pre-dawn silence. The goal was to push the hull beyond published limits. 4 adults, fishing gear, full fuel, all at sustained high speed. Midway through the second run, engineers spotted a hairline crack snaking along the starboard hull, just above the chine. Water seeped in, slow at first, then faster as the stress mounted. Technicians moved quickly, isolating the leak with emergency epoxy and portable pumps, then towing the craft back to the dock under cover of darkness. Before sunrise, the prototype was gone. The test crew bound by non-disclosure agreements. No press, no social media leaks, no mention in Yamaha's official test logs. Inside the Shizuoka plant, the mood turned tense. The hull's cellulose nanofiber resin had passed lab tests, but real-world stress revealed a weak point nobody wanted public. Design teams worked overnight, reinforcing the affected area and recalculating load tolerances. At the same time, a new problem surfaced. Display modules for the Crosswave's dual monitors were delayed by a global semiconductor shortage, threatening to push production behind schedule. Yamaha refused to disclose official weight or manufacturer's suggested retail price to dealers, citing ongoing component supply issues and last-minute hull modifications. Industry insiders whispered about missing units and uncertain margins, but official communications stayed silent. Test engineers, already stretched thin, found themselves under intense scrutiny. Every hull was now double inspected for microfractures. Crack containment protocols became standard, and any deviation from spec meant immediate teardown. The pressure to deliver a flawless launch, despite these setbacks, weighed heavily on the team. For the Crosswave, invincibility was never guaranteed. Every innovation carried its own risk, and every risk demanded secrecy. Across the marine industry, Yamaha's Crosswave announcement sent ripples through boardrooms and engineering labs. Mercury, long seen as the digital pace-setter, responded with a flurry of internal memos outlining plans to adapt their Verado V12 technology for smaller crossover vessels. Their engineers began fast-tracking joystick piloting systems and integrated digital displays, aiming to match Yamaha's seamless helm experience by 2027. Mercury's leadership publicly brushed off questions about the Crosswave, but behind closed doors, the pressure was clear. The bar for innovation had moved. Suzuki took a different tack, doubling down on its reputation for value and reliability. Rather than chasing every new feature, Suzuki's product team focused on a new 2-liter engine, rumored to offer more torque and better fuel efficiency. Patent filings hint at a hybrid hull design and a top-deck clean-out port, direct answers to Yamaha's technical advances, but priced to undercut both Mercury and Yamaha. Dealers report Suzuki quietly surveying customers about expanded storage and modular seating, signaling a calculated move to capture buyers put off by the Crosswave's size or price. Honda, meanwhile, kept its cards close. Known for conservative incremental upgrades, Honda's roadmap now includes a multi-passenger commuter personal watercraft with advanced fuel economy and automated trim controls, targeting a 2028 release. Industry analysts note that while Honda rarely leads with headline features, its reputation for durability and efficiency keeps it in the conversation, especially among buyers wary of unproven tech. Market analysts remain split. Some forecast a surge in hybrid, multi-use watercraft, with Yamaha's Crosswave as the template. Others caution that the segment could fragment, leaving traditionalists behind. The only consensus, the competition has intensified. Every major brand is now repositioning, each move scrutinized by dealers and consumers alike. The Crosswave's debut has redrawn the boundaries, forcing rivals to choose between doubling down on their strengths or risking bold, unfamiliar territory. Today, as Yamaha's Crosswave prepares to hit marinas worldwide, the industry faces a new benchmark: digital, hybrid, and fiercely competitive. For every boater and builder, the stakes are higher: adapt, innovate, or fall behind. True disruption isn't measured at launch, but in how rivals respond. In this race, tomorrow's leader is built, not declared, on the water.